This story is titled, My Brother Said, You Have No Wife, No Kids, No Life, at Christmas, while he was stealing my money and my family sided with him. But 3 days later, they are begging me after I made them lose everything. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Man, I never thought I'd be posting here, but after everything that's happened, I really need to get this off my chest. This is going to be long, and honestly, writing it all down might help me process this mess. I, 33 male, grew up seriously poor. Not like can't afford the newest iPhone poor, I mean actually poor. The kind where you're eating toast for dinner and pretending it's a normal meal. The kind where you learn real young how to dodge the landlord on the first of the month because mom needs a few more days to get paid. That kind of poor. My mom worked 2 jobs. Convenience store in the morning, cleaning offices at night. Dad was a mechanic, but not the legit kind with a shop. He fixed cars in our backyard for cash, always saying next month he'd get his certification, next month he'd open a real garage. That next month never came. Me and my brother Jake shared this tiny room in our 2-bedroom house. Not just a room. We shared a mattress on the floor until I was 15. Jake's 2 years older than me, and man, he hated every second of sharing that space. Used to draw this line down the middle of the mattress with permanent marker, said I better not cross it. Mom would get so mad about the marker, but she couldn't afford a new mattress, so we just flipped it over. I started working the second I could. Like, literally on my 14th birthday, I was at McDonald's filling out applications. Worked every summer, every weekend I could. School wasn't easy. Our district was pretty bad. Teachers who'd given up. Textbooks from the 90s. But I studied anyway. Library became my second home because we couldn't afford internet at our place. Got into community college while working full-time at this warehouse. Night shifts, loading trucks. My hands would shake so bad during morning classes from exhaustion, but I kept going. Started teaching myself coding on this ancient computer at the library. Got my first IT certification, and man, that's when the family stuff started getting weird. Everyone had something to say. Look who thinks he's too good for us now. Since when do you need a computer to work? Real work is with your hands. Jake especially hated it. Said I was trying to be something I'm not. Then I landed my first real tech job. Help desk stuff, nothing fancy, but the money. It was more than my parents ever made combined. First thing I did was get mom to a dentist. She'd been dealing with this bad tooth for years, could only afford aspirin to deal with it. Helped with bills too. Even started paying the rent on time. That's when Jake and his wife Sarah started acting different. Suddenly, they needed help with everything. Their car broke down, even though Jake's supposed to be this amazing mechanic like Dad. Their kid needed new school clothes. Their fridge died. Every week, some new emergency. The big one came when they wanted to buy a house. They couldn't get approved on their own. Bad credit, irregular income from Jake's mechanic work. Sarah was working part-time at a daycare. They asked me to co-sign. Looking back, I should have said no. But you know how family is. You want to help. So I co-signed. Even helped with the down payment because they'd never managed to save anything. They acted grateful at first. But then the comments started. Every family dinner turned into this weird mix of asking for money while also putting me down. Remember when you used to wear my hand-me-downs? Jake would say, right after asking if I could spot him some cash until next month. Must be nice having all that money while we struggle, Sarah would say, while wearing brand new clothes they couldn't afford. It got worse when I got promoted. Started doing actual software development, making good money. Bought myself a decent car. Nothing fancy, just a reliable Honda. You'd think I'd bought a Ferrari the way they reacted. Guess some people forgot where they came from. Must be nice to waste money while your family struggles. The thing is, I never forgot where I came from. How could I? I was still helping them every month. Still paying for stuff when they came up short. Still fixing their computer problems. Helping Jake with paperwork for his business, which was just him fixing cars in his driveway just like Dad. But in their eyes, me doing better somehow meant I'd betrayed them. Like by getting out of poverty, I was saying I was better than them. That's not what it was at all. I just wanted something different. Wanted to break this cycle we'd been stuck in for generations. Dad used to say, know your place. Think he meant it as a warning, like don't get your hopes up. But I took it different. I knew my place wasn't where I started. Just took me a while to learn that changing your place doesn't have to mean forgetting where you began. Anyway, 2 years ago, I met Rachel at this tech conference in Seattle. I almost didn't go. Jake and Sarah needed money for their kids' school supplies that week, and conferences aren't cheap. But my boss insisted, said the company would pay for everything. Rachel was giving this presentation about database security. Way smarter than me, if I'm honest. We got talking during the lunch break. Turns out she grew up like me. Dad worked construction, mom cleaned houses. She did community college, worked her way up, the whole thing. First time I met someone who really got it, you know? We started dating, and man, my family had opinions. Sarah especially. Before she even met Rachel, she was telling everyone that I was dating some rich girl who thinks she's better than us. Rachel isn't rich. She makes good money now, but she's still paying off student loans. I waited almost 6 months before bringing Rachel to meet the family. Wanted to make sure it was serious first. Should have waited longer, honestly. It was at my parents' house, just a regular Sunday dinner. Rachel brought this homemade pie. Found out my mom loves apple pie and spent all day Saturday making it from scratch. But the second we walked in, you could feel how cold everyone was. Sarah wouldn't even look at Rachel. Just talked about her like she wasn't there. Oh, so this is the one who thinks she's too good to shop at Walmart? Rachel never said anything about Walmart. She shops at Target mostly, which is differently not fancy. My mom tried being nice, but you could tell she was uncomfortable. Dad just sat there quietly, which was worse somehow. Jake kept making these little comments about city people and how they don't understand real work. Rachel handled it amazingly well. She tried talking to Sarah about the kids, offered to help in the kitchen, even asked Dad about his car repair work. But they weren't having it. It got really bad when Sarah noticed Rachel's ring. Yeah, I forgot to mention. I'd proposed the week before. Nothing fancy, we picked out the ring together. It's not even that expensive, just a simple white gold band with a small diamond. Rachel didn't want anything flashy because she works with her hands a lot coding. Sarah saw it and lost it. Right in the middle of dinner, she goes, "Well, guess we know why he won't help family anymore. Got himself a gold digger. Bet she's got expensive taste, huh? That's where all the money's going now?" Rachel's hands were shaking, but she stayed calm. My mom just stared at her plate like she always does when things get tense. Jake laughed like it was some funny joke. Dad looked at me and said, "Guess you really have forgotten where you came from." I tried explaining that I was still helping them. Literally had paid their electric bill that month. But Sarah started crying about how I'd changed and how Rachel was taking me away from the family. We left early. Rachel cried in the car, not because of what they said about her, but because she felt bad that she'd caused problems between me and my family. That made me feel worse than anything they'd said. After that, things got really weird. Sarah would post these vague things on Facebook about fake people and family traitors. Jake started telling everyone I was too good for the family now. Every time I helped them with money, which was still pretty often, they'd somehow twist it into me showing off. The crazy part? I was still co-signing their loans, still helping with bills, still fixing their computers and doing their taxes and all that stuff. But because I had Rachel now, because I wasn't focusing 100% of my time and money on them, I was suddenly this terrible person. Rachel suggested family counseling once. Sarah posted a whole rant on Facebook about rich people thinking they can fix everything with therapy. We weren't even rich. We both worked full-time and lived in a regular apartment. But in their eyes, having enough money to not struggle every month meant we were basically millionaires. Looking back, I should have seen what was coming. The way they'd ask about my work schedule, always so casual, like just making conversation. The sudden interest in when Rachel and I were traveling, like they were planning their own vacations around it. And the questions about my banking details, brushed off as just curious when I helped them with paperwork. But you don't want to believe your own family would do something shady, you know? Then, out of nowhere, when March hit, Dad suddenly got diagnosed. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. Doctor gave him 6 months. He pushed through for 7. The whole time Dad was sick, Jake and Sarah were weirdly focused on his stuff. Like, Dad would be having a bad day with chemo, and they'd be in the garage organizing his tools. Or they'd be helping him sort through paperwork, asking about his savings account, his life insurance, all that. I was paying for a lot of the medical bills. Insurance covered some, but you know how it is. There's always extra expenses. Special medications insurance won't cover. Equipment for the house. Gas money for all the hospital trips. I never said no when they needed money for Dad's care. Never even kept track of how much I was sending. Sarah started this GoFundMe for Dad's medical expenses. Raised about $15,000 from family friends, church people, Dad's old customers. Found out later they used that money to renovate their kitchen. They said it was because Dad would want the family to be comfortable. But man, who does that? Dad got worse fast. By October, he was in hospice. Jake and Sarah kept talking about the inheritance like Dad wasn't even there. We should get the garage ready to sell. Or, those tools are worth good money. Dad could hear them. He'd just close his eyes and pretend to be sleeping. He passed away soon after that. I felt so cold. Losing your father is the worst feeling ever. When December came around, Mom insisted we all come for Christmas. First one without Dad. Rachel was nervous about going. Things had been tense with my family since we got engaged, but I thought maybe Dad's death would have brought everyone closer, made them realize what really matters. We showed up at exactly 2 p.m. when Mom told us to come. Brought presents for everyone, even though money was tight after all the medical bills. Rachel made her famous apple pie from scratch. The second we walked in, you could feel something was off. Everyone stopped talking. They exchanged these unbothered looks. Sarah was sitting there with this weird smile. Jake wouldn't even look at me. The only one who welcomed us is my nephew Tommy. He came running up to us. He's Jake's oldest, 12 years old, super bright kid. He was trying to show me this coding project he'd been working on at school, saying he has a competition, all excited about it. Uncle Dom, look what I made. It's like what you do. But Jake grabbed his shoulder, pulled him back. Don't bother your uncle with that computer stuff. He's probably too busy being important. Tommy's face just fell. He shuffled off to play his games in the corner, while Jake gave me this look, like even my nephew talking to me was some kind of betrayal. That should have been my first clue about what was coming. Mom hugged me, but it felt forced. She barely acknowledged Rachel, just took the pie and disappeared into the kitchen. We sat down in the living room, and nobody said anything for like 5 straight minutes. Just this awful silence. Finally, Jake does this fake throat clear thing and goes, "Listen, we need to talk about some family business." Rachel starts to get up, all polite like, "Maybe I should give you guys some privacy." But Sarah cuts in with this nasty fake sweet voice. "Oh no, please stay, Rachel. You should hear this, since you're so interested in our family's money." The way she said it made my skin crawl. "What's going on?" I asked. But I already had this bad feeling in my stomach. Jake leans forward, trying to look all serious. "Look, while Dad was sick, we had to make some decisions. For the family." "What decisions?" Sarah jumps in again, still with that sugary voice. "Your brother did what needed to be done. We used the power of attorney to put everything in Jake's name. The house, the garage, Dad's savings." She pauses, watching my face. "Everything." "Everything?" I felt like I couldn't breathe right. "What do you mean, everything?" "Your portion too," Jake says, not even looking at me. "It's all been transferred. It's done." I just sat there, trying to process what I was hearing. The inheritance Dad had specifically set aside for me. All of it. Gone. "You can't just," I started. "We already did," Sarah cuts in, dropping the sweet act. "And it's perfectly legal. Family needs come first, and you don't need that money anyway." I just sat there, trying to process what I was hearing. Asked them to explain. Sarah did most of the talking, with this fake sweet voice like she was explaining something to a child. "We have a family to support. Bills to pay. Your father understood that family comes first. Not like you'd understand, living your selfish single life." I pointed out I wasn't single. I was engaged to Rachel. Big mistake. Sarah turned to Rachel with this look of pure hate. "Oh yes, the gold digger. Found yourself a guy with a good job, didn't you? Probably convinced him to abandon his family. Bet you're loving all that tech money." Rachel started to defend herself, but Jake cut her off. "We know your type. Coming from nothing. Thinking you're better than us because you got some education. Both of you forgot where you came from." Mom just sat there, staring at her hands. I asked her if she knew about this. She nodded. "They needed it more than you. You have your job, your money. They have kids to think about." I reminded them about all the money I'd sent over the years. The medical bills I'd paid. The times I'd helped with their mortgage. Sarah actually laughed. "Oh, please. You think throwing us some spare change makes you a hero? We deserve that money. We're real family. Not some stuck-up computer guy who thinks he's too good for us." That's when they went after Rachel again. Started saying she was probably cheating on me, that she just wanted my money, that she looked down on them for being simple working people. Rachel sat there taking it, but I could see her hands shaking. I stood up to leave. Sarah started fake crying, saying I was abandoning the family at Christmas. Jake called me ungrateful. Mom finally spoke up again. "If you leave now, don't bother coming back." We left. In the car, Rachel broke down as always because she felt guilty, like she'd somehow caused this rift between me and my family. I had to pull over because I was so angry I couldn't drive straight. Once I got home, I started checking everything. My bank accounts, Dad's accounts I was supposed to inherit, property records. They'd planned this for months. Used Dad's illness as cover to transfer everything. Even took out loans in my name somehow. My phone kept blowing up with texts. Jake telling me to man up and accept it. Sarah sending these long messages about how I was destroying the family. Mom just sending sad face emojis. Real mature for people in their 30s. But they didn't know that they are messing with the wrong person. I might work with computers, but I know how to document everything. Every loan, every bill I paid, every time they asked for money. I had records of all of it. Time to show them what real family looks like. So I called my bank. Turns out, when you report identity theft, they get real interested real fast. Spent 6 hours on hold, getting shuffled between departments, explaining the same nightmare over and over. The bank rep finally asked if I wanted to press charges. Told her I needed to check everything first. I wasn't about to rush into this. Jake and Sarah needed to think they'd won before I made my move. I played along, didn't block their numbers, didn't react to their social media posts, even replied to Mom's guilt trip text with vague, non-committal answers, like I was considering making peace. Meanwhile, I was digging. Every email, bank statement, and transaction they thought they'd buried, I unearthed it all. That's when I saw the full scope of what they'd done. They'd been opening credit cards in my name for months, convincing the bank they were helping me organize my finances. Rachel was the first to catch the weird charges. Small at first, a couple hundred here, 1,000 there. Then bigger ones. New appliances, furniture, even a Disney World vacation. All while they cried, broke, and played the victims. But the house? That was the real mess. Since I co-signed for them, they used my name to take out more loans. A lot more. The house was worth maybe $180,000, but somehow they had over $250,000 in loans against it. My name was on most of them, since I had good credit. When I checked with the mortgage company, I found out they hadn't made a real payment in almost a year. They'd been using my inheritance money to keep up the minimums, while taking out even more debt, like a twisted pyramid scheme. Then I remembered something. When I co-signed, we included a default clause. If they missed too many payments, I could legally take over the property to protect myself. Safe to say, Jake and Sarah never read the fine print. They just signed where they were told. While I was piecing all this together, the texts kept coming. Sarah was sending long-winded guilt trips about family loyalty and how I was betraying them. Jake, ever the tough guy, warned me I'd regret it if I caused problems. And Mom? She was in full disappointed parent mode, acting like I was the villain for wanting my stolen money back. Then Rachel found their social media posts. Sarah wrote this long, dramatic post about how money changed me and how I'd forgotten my roots. Meanwhile, her profile picture? Her flexing with a $500 purse? Bought with a credit card in my name. That was when I went full forensic accountant. I compiled everything. Every forged signature. Every fake loan application. Every stolen dollar. Put it all in a folder labeled Family Business. Rachel said the name was petty. She wasn't wrong. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. They hadn't just stolen my inheritance, they'd used it as collateral for even more loans. They took out second and third mortgages, opened store credit cards, even tried getting a car loan. That one got denied. Probably the only reason I hadn't been buried in even more debt. And the lies? They told everyone different stories. At church, they bragged about promotions. To their friends, they claimed some long-lost uncle left them money. To their kids' school, they played the role of successful business owners. Every bit of it was built on money they stole from me. Rachel's dad, a retired accountant, took one look at my folder and just shook his head. They don't know what they started, he said. He helped me put together a plan. Not for revenge. Revenge is emotional. This needed to be precise. I still didn't go straight to the cops. That would have been too easy. They needed to feel safe first, to think they were untouchable. So I let them. I kept responding to Mom's texts like I was considering making peace. But behind the scenes, I was tearing their world apart. And then I waited. Let them take out one last payday loan in my name, right before I handed everything to my lawyer. That loan? It was the one that pushed them over the edge. The second the bank saw the fraud claims, the forged documents, and the flagged transactions, everything froze. Jake and Sarah probably didn't even notice at first. They were too busy celebrating their latest scam, because right before everything hit the fan, they took out one last payday loan in my name. It was reckless, even for them, but they must have thought they had more time. They didn't. The moment that loan processed, it triggered extra fraud alerts. That was the final straw for the bank. The second they tried to withdraw the money, everything shut down at once. That was the best part. Not just taking back what was mine, but making sure they never even saw it coming. When Jake and Sarah found out I was disputing all the credit cards and loans, man, they lost it. Like, completely lost it. My phone started blowing up with texts and calls from them. their friends, random family members I hadn't talked to in years. Sarah went on this crazy Facebook rant about how I was trying to destroy their family, posted pictures of her kids, talking about how their evil uncle wanted them to be homeless, started telling everyone I was jealous of their success, that I couldn't stand seeing them doing well in life. Success built with my stolen money, but she left that part out. Jake took it to another level. Started showing up at my work, just standing in the parking lot, watching. Real creepy stuff. My coworkers started noticing, asking if I was okay. Had to explain to my boss why my brother was lurking around the building. Super embarrassing. Then they started telling people I was on drugs, that's why I was acting crazy. Said Rachel was controlling me, turning me against the family. Some people actually believed them. Got messages from old family friends telling me to get help and remember where I came from. Mom was something else. Started posting old family photos, writing these long captions about how money changes people, how sad she was that her son had turned against his own blood. When I tried showing her proof of what they'd done, the forged signatures, the stolen money, she wouldn't even look, just kept saying, "But they have children," like that made stealing okay. The bank started closing in on their house. All those loans they'd taken out were coming due. And surprise, they couldn't pay. Sarah blew up my phone at like 3 a.m., calling Rachel every name in the book. "You ficking were! You turned him against us!" She screamed in one voicemail. "You gold-digging bitch! You won't get away with this!" Like Rachel had anything to do with them not paying their loans. She even showed up at Rachel's work, screaming in the parking lot about how Rachel stole her brother and destroyed their family. Security had to escort her out. Rachel was shaking so bad she couldn't drive home. But what got me fuming is that they had the audacity to break into our house. Middle of the day while we were at work. Used the spare key Mom gave them. Yeah, she just handed it over because they said they needed to get something important. Real nice, Mom. They trashed the place. Not like robbers looking for valuables. This was personal. Ripped up photos. Smashed picture frames. Threw bleach on Rachel's clothes. Even took her work laptop and dumped it in the bathtub. Left this note on the kitchen counter. "Now you know what it feels like to lose everything." So I called the cops and filed a report. Had to get all new locks, install security cameras. Rachel was scared to be in the house alone. Started working from home because she didn't trust them not to show up at her office again. Their friends started harassing us too. Properly heard about our family drama from Sarah's posts. Random calls at all hours. Messages calling Rachel names. One of Sarah's friends from church drove by our house yelling about family loyalty. Like these people had any idea what was really going on. I got this long email from Jake, trying to justify everything. Said I'd abandoned the family, that I looked down on them for not being successful like me. Said I deserved to have my inheritance taken because I didn't appreciate family values. Real rich coming from someone who stole from their own brother. Rachel wanted to move, just get away from all of it. But that felt like letting them win. They already took my inheritance, my relationship with Mom, my sense of having a family. I wasn't going to let them take my home too. I had to call my lawyer, showed him everything. The break-in photos, the social media posts, the threatening messages. He just looked at all of it and said, "They've given you everything you need." Turned out all their crazy behavior just made the legal stuff easier. That's when I stopped playing nice. My lawyer didn't mess around, took one look at everything I'd gathered and filed for emergency court orders the next day. Fraud charges, identity theft, breaking and entering, the whole thing. Even got a restraining order against Jake and Sarah after showing the judge the pictures of them lurking around my work. Court day was a mess. Didn't drag out like I expected. Judge took one look at the evidence and shut everything down. Sarah's crying act and their lawyer's poor struggling family story didn't work. Mom sat there looking shocked the whole time, especially when she saw the forged documents. Think she finally realized what they'd really done. The judge ruled they had to pay everything back, froze their accounts, ordered wage garnishment. I got the right to buy the house since I was co-signer. Sarah lost it, screaming about her kids. Jake started yelling across the courtroom about how I'd always looked down on them. "You think you're so much better than us with your fancy tech job, acting all superior because you got out of the neighborhood." He was red in the face, pointing at me. "You're still that poor kid who shared my mattress. You ain't better than me." I usually keep quiet, but something in me snapped. "You're right, Jake. I am better than you. Not because of my job or money, because I didn't steal from my own brother. Because I actually worked for what I have instead of taking from others. So yeah, I am better than you." That's when he tried to jump over the barrier to get at me. Security dragged him out while he kept screaming threats. Real tough guy until the bailiff showed up. Even his lawyer looked embarrassed. probably realizing his struggling family story was falling apart. That was the last time I saw Jake in person. And honestly, good riddance. It's been 3 months since the court show. Life's different now. Weird different. Rachel and I moved to a new place across town. Changed our phone numbers, emails, everything. Got cameras all over the house because we still don't feel totally safe. The house Jake and Sarah lived in, I bought it at the foreclosure sale. Not because I wanted it. Place needs tons of work after they trashed it trying to get back at me. Bought it because I knew they were planning to have Sarah's parents buy it so they could keep living there. Their faces when my bid won? Almost worth all the drama. I'm renting it out now. Fixed it up, made it nice. Wrote into the lease agreement that Jake and Sarah can never live there. Sarah's still posting stuff online about me. Her story changes depending on who she's talking to. Some days I'm this evil rich guy who destroyed their lives. Other days I'm this manipulated puppet and Rachel's the real villain. Last week she was telling people I'm part of some conspiracy involving the banks and the government. Getting real creative with her lies. Jake lost his mechanic job after the court stuff came out. Turns out his boss didn't like having someone convicted of fraud working on customer cars. Now he's working at some warehouse, telling everyone who'll listen about how I ruined his career. Like I made him steal hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their kids are the only part that makes me sad. My nieces and nephews won't talk to me anymore. Sarah and Jake told them I'm the reason they had to leave their house, change schools, give up their stuff. Imagine telling your kids their uncle is evil because he stopped you from stealing from him. Mom's trying to play both sides now. Calls me sometimes, crying about how the family is broken, says she wants everyone to get along again, then posts on Facebook about praying for Jake and Sarah's recovery from financial hardship, like they're victims in all this. I stopped answering her calls. However, Rachel's family has been amazing through everything. Her parents have us over for dinner every Sunday. Her dad helped me set up all the security cameras and legal stuff. Her mom keeps trying to teach me their family recipes, says I'm the son they never had. It's nice, but sometimes it makes me miss what I thought I had with my own family. Got promoted at work last month. When you're not constantly dealing with family drama and giving away money, turns out you can focus on your career. Rachel and I are planning our wedding for next spring. Small ceremony, just her family and our close friends. No drama, no guilt trips, no Sarah crying about how we're excluding family. Some people at work found out about everything, thanks to Sarah posting about it everywhere, and asked if I feel bad about ruining my brother's life. Told them Jake and Sarah ruined their own lives. I just made them face consequences. And the money's mostly gone. Even with the wage garnishment and selling everything they bought, I'll probably never see most of what they stole. But honestly, I don't care about the money anymore. What bothers me is how easy it was for them to throw away our whole relationship over greed. Funny thing is, if they'd just asked for help instead of stealing, I probably would have helped them. Not with everything they wanted, but enough to get by. That's what real family does. But they didn't want help. They wanted everything I had out of jealousy. Got this letter from Jake last week. Just said, you came from nothing and that's what you'll always be. Made me laugh. Yeah, I came from nothing. Worked my way up from nothing. And when they tried to take everything from me, I rebuilt from nothing again. That's the difference between us. I know how to build things. They only know how to take. The other night, Rachel brought it up again. You should let it go, she said, leaning against me on the couch. They're not worth the space they take up in your head. I thought about it for a second, then just smirked. Oh, I let it go. I just don't forget. Because that's the thing. Maybe I'll stay, maybe I'll go. But wherever I end up, I built it. And I'll never let anyone take that from me again. Thank you guys for reading. Edit 1. Since a lot of people are asking, Tommy did win that coding competition at his school. Found out through his teacher who follows me on LinkedIn. You better believe I anonymously paid for him to go to coding camp this summer. Edit 2. The house is rented to a really nice young family now. They're actually fixing up the place better than Jake and Sarah ever did. Last edit. For everyone saying family is family, and I should forgive them, would you forgive someone who stole $400,000 from you and tried to destroy your life just because you share DNA? Yeah, didn't think so.